What's happening, lawn care legends? BJ here from TBL Property Maintenance, and as always, I got my main man here, Benny. Boom! What's happening, Mr. Catch Pro?
New week, new topics.
Yep.
Just shot an episode. We did a Zoom chat. Hope everyone enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Had a great conversation with Luke Smith over there in WA.
Yeah.
We learnt tons of stuff about just markets over the other side of the country.
Touched a little bit more about his business and what they do there, his staff numbers, the little things that haven't popped up yet. So it was a really good interview. I enjoyed it.
And like we mentioned in that episode, don't forget to check him out on Aussie Lawn Stars now. I believe he might have been like the second or third episode way back, but he has a part 2 coming up, and they're just going to discuss numbers. Now, even if you could tell from the episode that we did with him, he's a numbers dude. Like, he really loves 100%. That shit. So, I could really see Luke becoming a little bit more of like a public figure.
Yeah.
Maybe even having his own podcast.
Maybe.
I reckon that would be kind of cool.
Business podcast. He's been in business for a long time, so...
Yeah, and he seems to really love it. But hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Something else before we get into our topic today. We've had a lot of interaction lately. Everyone's been giving us tons of good feedback and just a little bit more general conversation. So we want to say thank you to everyone that has reached out. Thanks to everyone that has been sending photos of us of bad workwear.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really love that. That's
been really cool. We, everyone has been thrilled with the gear that they've bought.
Yeah.
We obviously added some pieces to the Catch Pro website, just the boot gaiters, Legionnaire's hat, safety glasses.
Yeah.
People have been really getting amongst that and, have been really raving about the quality. Yeah. We do have a new review. BJ, did you want to read that one out, bro?
Yeah, man. It's from Fernscapes Gardening. So he gave us 5 stars, or she, and said, another quality episode, Ben and BJ. Keep the magic coming. Love the info and the loose banter between you guys. BJ would look sick in a Ram with one of those big Texas horns on the front as his bull bar. Thank you very much, sir. Well, I've got some good news that I'll be announcing a little bit later in regards to my vehicle choice.
Okay, so you have to hang around if you want to...
You got to listen all the way through.
Yeah.
Right at the end, I'm going to let it drop.
Don't be one of those dogs that only listens for 5 minutes. Do we have any other housekeeping?
We do have some housekeeping. Now, many of you follow our socials. You might have noticed if you're watching on YouTube, you probably wouldn't have seen it. But if you are listening on the social media platforms like Spotify and things like that, you would have seen we've got new cover art.
Yes. I didn't know where you were going with that, but that's cool.
Yeah, so that was awesome.
And how funny is it too? Like, the behind story is I've woken up with a text from some dude in the US, and he's like, hey, do you guys need any art? And I'm like, look, I'm typically quite busy in the mornings, usually because if we get a bunch of orders overnight, I like to get them out the next day.
Yeah.
So I've responded. I'm like, hell yeah. And then it just full snowballed, eh? He's just like, oh, what do you want, rah? And I'm just like full, like, oh man, can we just talk about it later? I've tried to defer to BJ, and BJ's written back, nah, scam. Like, it's
100%. I was like,
and
I get so many through every day. I'm like, fuck.
And I'm like ready to send this dude like $200 or something. Then, he wanted the money up front, and BJ wrote back, definitely scam. Anyway, we got there in the end. And
he did a fucking fantastic job. I love it.
Now, if you are watching or listening, Mr. What is it, Cartoon Illustrator?
Yeah.
See, I'm a fucking shocker.
Yeah.
But,
that's what it is. You're right on the money.
But go and give him a like and check out some of his stuff. If anyone needs a logo, for their business or whatever. What did
he smashed it out of the park?
What did he do? Like 30 minutes or something?
Yeah, he smashed it so quick, which was awesome. Now, I had an experience with Fiverr, so I basically pissed $100 up against the wall because I went through Fiverr. And the fucking dude was like rated 5 stars, did thousands of logos. I gave him exactly what we gave this cartoon illustrator guy. and it was like fucking clip art. I was like, oh man, I had to change it multiple times. And with Fiverr, if you don't get back to them within 48 hours, they automatically complete your order. And I was like, just, flat out, fucking auto completed my order. It's the worst shit on earth. I was like, fucking D for you.
So anyway, we got a good result. We're stoked with the artwork. Yeah. But if anyone would like to see Skull Sessions merch, let us know.
Please.
We're not going to jump into anything crazy unless there is a demand for it. People have reached out.
Tons.
But whether or not people actually want to rep this gear, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just quickly while we're giving shit a plug, the dudes over at Stripe Life. Now we paid for our hats.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Ben paid for my hat.
Yeah. Well,
I owe you.
I just wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But these two dudes who we've got our own special group chat going. When I say special, it's not really that special.
Yeah.
But, go and check the Stripe Life page out. They love the Aussie presence.
Yeah. They are now good with content too, man.
If you try and send them some stripes, they're probably going to hang shit on you if you're in Australia.
They didn't to me. I tagged them up.
Okay. Yeah. But it's just awesome, and it's another part of sort of building that community, and it means different things to different people. But like, what I love it because it's the same logo as LMCA, right?
Check
and we all love our LMCA merch as well.
Yeah.
So, but no, these guys at Stripe Life, they're really loving what we're doing, and it's a whole new. It's a whole new world for them.
Yeah, man, it's so cool, and they're really good dudes too. Like we've had a few chats.
Yeah, cool sense of humour.
Yeah. We showed them pictures of snakes, and they were just like, "I'm gonna get my Glock," and I was like, "Whoa, Benny's got the broom." Don't know about
I'm out here with a fucking broom
in his undies and his tidy whities,
and this dude wants to bust out a Glock. So. That was really cool. We hope to get them on the show one day.
That'd be awesome.
BJ, did you want to fill everyone in? Now, this is from high demand.
Huge demand for this episode.
For the topic today.
And it couldn't have come at a better time because we are actually seeing like a drop in temperatures here in Brisbane. I don't know if it's a permanent thing, but burnout. Burnout has come up so much in the last couple of months. I don't know if it's to do with the weather, COVID, fucking just to all across the board, everyone's just seems to be on fire with work.
When we say burnout, we're not talking about dropping some skitties for the boys. Right?
No, I'm talking about like the physical and mental side of burnout.
What about emotionally?
Yeah, emotional as well. There's so many different things that can happen with burnout. So
now we briefly touched on it in a past episode, and then we did have. A few people reach out and say, look, we would definitely love you guys to spend some more time on this topic. Basically, you and I, BJ, we can certainly talk about, I know from personal experiences, I can talk about some of the things that create burnout.
Yeah.
And some of the ways that, may help you to avoid it, or at least, if you are feeling what we call burnout, maybe be able to take a step back and say, hey, I need to chill.
Yeah.
Need to look at this in a different way. So we'll discuss some of that stuff. Just quickly before we do get into the actual topic, we love the topic suggestions. It was only like, I don't know, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, someone, I think they maybe left us a YouTube comment, or maybe it was an Apple review. And that resulted in the vehicle episode.
Yep.
This is a direct result of people reaching out to us. So
you've had a few personal messages too, like in the last couple of days.
Yeah, with women sending me shots of their boobs and stuff.
That's a different kind of burnout. That's a foreskin burnout. Oh, naughty.
Hang on, I'm genuinely laughing. So, where the fuck was I?
Foreskin burnout? No, you were talking about the personal messages that you received.
Right, yes.
Get back to it.
yeah, I mean, we absolutely love the interaction. Love the suggestions. Even if we've touched on something before and you would like a part 2, we would also love that. Also, any key figures that you want us to potentially interview.
Yeah.
I am trying to line up a Dirt Monkey interview.
Ooh.
We'll see how that goes.
Now, Dirt Monkey, he doesn't just review lawn care products and things like that. He reviews everything. I love his GIE stuff. Like, because he'll just get in and just destroy like a block with a fucking concrete saw. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I talked to Corey briefly about Stan, and he had sort of said like, oh, because they do business together.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Stan's a little different. He's kind of like a redneck. And I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
I was like,
perfect fit.
Like, for us, that's just like a bogan,
Man,
right?
he keeps like foxes. He has like squirrels that like run around his house. That is fucking awesome. That's like Peter Pan shit.
Yeah. So I know that they did a Catch Pro video a while back, and they were just like on their driveway in the shed.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's like what we do.
Yeah.
We don't have a fancy
was that
studio.
the build?
Yeah, I think that was the build. Yeah.
I remember watching that.
And it's good real content. So anyway, let us know if you want us to tee up an interview with Stan. Anyways,
let's get to it.
Let's set it off, brother.
Yeah, man. So we'll start with the emotional side of burnout. I've got a little list of a few things that are telltale signs. And really, burnout can make or break a business. Like, you can get to the point where you just throw in the towel if you don't take steps to alleviate it. It's a real prick of a thing. A lot of people talk about the black dog, and this is a part and parcel of it, but I think that burnout is a little bit more something that you can control a little bit more. I think it has a lot to do with the stresses of having too much work, or financial issues, or you've made the wrong decision in business. But some of the signs of burnout, the emotional signs, you've got a sense of failure and self-doubt. So making decisions gets a lot harder. You feel within yourself that you've not done the right thing, and you feel like you've failed. Maybe not just yourself, but your business, maybe your staff, and maybe your family as well. And that's a horrible way to feel. Feeling helpless, trapped, and defeated is another couple of things. Like, these are all awful things that no one really wants to feel, especially when they work as hard as we do. Detachment and feeling alone in the world. Now, that is something that I want to touch on later. There's so many avenues, and I'll put a lot of links down to different places, like in the show notes, that you can call. Like, there's just so many avenues now that you can take to actually deal with these issues if you don't want to reach out to friends and family, and if you feel like you're burdening them. But we'll get into that later. Loss of motivation is a big one. Someone not too long ago that is quite prominent on the page actually chucked this up. Publicly
come out, yeah.
And just said that, he's not feeling it anymore. And I've had the same feeling. But an increase in the negative outlook. So basically just being like, it's fucked anyway, so why not just fuck it some more. And a decrease in satisfaction and sense of accomplishment. That's pretty big too.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously all of these things that exist, and they're clear signs of actual burnout. Do you have can you touch on some of the signs, say leading up to burnout, or maybe ways to prevent it? Because the way that I look at burnout is and this is going to be so different for everyone. Yeah. But like right now, and you and I have spoken about it, I would describe myself at the moment like, I work 10 days a week.
Yeah.
And even your first comments are, watch out, Benny, you're going to burn yourself out.
Oh.
Now, I'm on a stoke because Catch Pro is new and fresh, and I am very motivated.
Yeah.
And when you're seeing success, it motivates you a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, when people talk about burnout, or, you know, maybe they don't know that it's happening yet, but you're working so hard, but you're not really seeing the results.
Yeah.
That's when burnout, you know, really becomes prominent, because, you know, if you're kicking goals and you got money in the bank and everything like that, you can absolutely still burn yourself out.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about some of these things that you've spoken about, you know, say feeling defeated, not recognizing any satisfaction in any success, they're all the things that I would associate with, you know, working so hard and not seeing any success from it.
And feeling alone, I think that's a big one too. When you're as a solo operator, I think that's a big thing. A lot of the times, like, I'll call you, we'll be messaging, and you'll still be in here putting shit together until like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm sure like that's a feeling like, oh fuck, I'm the only one up at 10 o'clock at night putting together catches. And
I mean, look, like I said, I get physically thrashed, I get emotionally thrashed. I know that, you know, when people are picking on me on Facebook, you know, I feel a lot more helpless in those situations. And I honestly do. I look at it and I'm like, man, I'm full hustling, and, you know, this dude's picking on me.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Now, I have a really thick skin. And, you know, you're like my little guardian angel saying, you know, don't fucking respond back and all this sort of stuff. But I just feel like I have to, because fuck that dude.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, there are times where, you know, you feel helpless. Now, this show is not really going to be, you know, like, I can't relate a lot of any of these topics with Catch Pro.
Yeah.
But with Greenscape Solutions, I mean, look, I went through it all, and I'm not talking, I don't want to compare the two, because it is very different.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about selling a product versus providing a service.
Yeah.
And they're two very different things. I can go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning after a 6-hour sleep, and I may have made $1,000 worth of sales.
Yeah.
And been fucking asleep. You know, when I was running Greenscape Solutions full time, you know, there would be certain times, let's say, we won't use the floods as like, you know, because that's obviously an extreme example, but, you know, think 5 days of rain and you lose $5,000 worth of turnover.
Yeah.
I mean, those types of situations, you know, can really, really, really lead you to just be like, why the fuck do I bother?
Exactly, yeah. I feel the same way. Like, you know, we had a mountain of rain, and I don't have a shed yet, so I was like, I couldn't really go outside and just work on my machines or something like that to feel like I was being productive. So I kind of was like, oh, fuck. It was an amazing time. I got to spend so much time with my son. And like my other kids and my wife, I kind of got to look at the positives. When I first got into the business, I wasn't working as much as I am now, but I was burnt right the fuck out. Like, I honestly, all of these...
And I remember this period.
Yeah, all of these fit how I was 100%. I was just in a bad way across the board.
Was it a result of, you know, and obviously, you know, trying not to dive too far into it, but was it a result of, obviously you had your back injury.
Yeah.
Was it mostly like just a result of like you weren't as successful as what you felt like the work that you're putting out?
I don't know if it was that. I think because I went from a job from 11 years, like non-stop work. I worked night shift for 6 years, so that takes a lot out of you. Like, that's a whole I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. And then I actually, December 24th, I just, you know, stopped working for them and I started working for myself. And I already had a few gigs lined up and I just went straight into it. There was no take a breath period, nothing. Like, that last shift that I worked at my old job was like a 22-hour shift. So I walked out of there and I was like, absolutely cooked. And then it's like my brain just went, oh, snap. So I had to like snap into it. And I didn't really, because I was working full time, I didn't really get the time to really think about the business. So I went in and I just went as hard as I could, advertise, cards, everything, just smashing it as much as I could to make my business grow as fast as I could. But because I didn't really think about the business side of things, it was a real fucking grind. And I was shit at quoting. Like I had you, which was amazing. But because I was working by myself, I just had to make these decisions that I had no idea. Like there was no LMCA. There was, fucking Brian's lawn maintenance might have done like 3 videos then, and they don't really cross over back then. But one of the biggest ones was loss of motivation. Like I had a bit of a buffer there. I had some money. I had long service leave that they got paid out, and because of my accident, I had a little bit of a buffer there, and I just fucking chewed it all up. So when that was gone and money was hard to come by, there was just something that had to change, and we actually went away on a holiday. And when I got back, I was like, fucking game on. And my whole mentality had to change. Like, I feel like a lot of this, it's a massive head game. And everything changed. I started to do the research on how to actually run a business properly. I spoke more to you. I spoke a lot to Shori. And just, try to fill myself with as much knowledge as I could. And then just the hard work started to pay off, and I started to move forward, and I saw results, and one by one, all these signs and symptoms kind of dropped off, and then I just became content. And then it was about a year, things dropped off again, and I was like, fuck, what am I feeling? And it was like a feeling like a stagnant feeling. So I had to kick off again, and just self-realization of some of the signs and symptoms really helped me come through the other side. And now this stuff doesn't really pop up in my life anymore.
Yeah. Now look, I know that we have touched on certain things in past episodes in terms of equipment and things like that, like all of these different things. Look, I'd say probably the few key things that can really stress you out in business is obviously collecting your money. When, let's say you do $3,000 worth of work, you've sent those invoices, and you're just waiting.
Yeah.
10, 20, whatever days. Now that can be very, very demotivating, because you've worked so hard, and you probably don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
By the time you do get it, you've probably already serviced that client again.
Yeah.
So now a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, you guys probably already know, but the point of this information is to absorb it and take whatever parts are relevant to you. So you might have we'll talk about another part with broken down or say bad equipment.
Yeah.
Now everyone can't afford to buy new gear all the time. We're realistic in that. But I do know, and I've been there so many times, where let's say you've got a handheld petrol blower. Now, what are they worth these days? What are they going at? It's been a long time. Like, I bought a battery hand blower I can't even fucking remember how much it was.
Not a ton. Like, it's an outlay, but it's not.
Yeah. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I had an Echo blower, which, look, for some reason 260 or 360 is coming to mind.
Yeah, something.
And this thing was just running like a pig. And, we all need a blower.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd take this thing in, spend $50 on it, get it back, spend my own time on it because the mechanic did a shit job.
Yeah.
Now, this is only a small example, right? But, you need to pick up this tool and you just need to start it. It needs to purr. You need to do your task with it. And really, you don't want to be thinking about it. You know what I mean?
If your equipment's not running efficiently, neither are you.
Yeah, and that's really smart thing to say, because it's something that you overlook. You look at the expenses, let's say, say $300 or $400, and you think to yourself, like, fuck, I can't part with that right now.
Yeah.
But once you've taken that to the mechanic and they've spent a minimum hour on it, and it's say $80 plus parts, whatever the case is, really, once you do that 2 or 3 times, it has already justified getting that new purchase.
Yep.
Now, if you've got a situation like that, as well as people not paying you, you're heaping up, you're stacking these problems right on top of each other.
Yeah.
So look, equipment, and I think delay in payment, along with employees, are some of your biggest
huge
stress factors that can create mental health issues, emotional health issues. That's not necessarily going to create any physical health issues, which we will talk on as well. With the physical side of things now, maybe not everyone will know, but you've got very bad feet, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm no dancer.
Yeah. Well, actually, you do have some fucking
I've got some good moves, but they're normally on my knees.
But, talk people through, what this means for you. And, how it really affects everything that you're doing.
So, like a lot of people, I carry a little bit of extra weight, I'll say.
Why are you saying like a lot of people for?
Well, there's a lot of people out there that carry an extra weight.
So you're just dissing everyone?
Not everyone. There's a lot of people, though.
No,
but, some people out there carry extra weight and it causes issues that they didn't expect to have. So I've got pretty flat feet. I've always had flat feet, but I actually have got an issue called plantar fasciitis. Now, it's not an uncommon problem. Lots of people have it. It just, the degree is, lots of people have it mildly. I am particularly fucked. So basically, once I take my work boots off, I can barely walk at least. I get about half an hour out of my feet once I get home before they really start to seize up. Some days I'll take painkillers and Voltaren and things like that. It's all really to do with the calf muscle. It's horrible. There's a lot of pain involved. I've got orthopedic soles. They didn't really help. Actually, one thing that did help was getting a really good pair of boots and changing them more often. So I've got Benny's boots at the moment, the bad workwear ones, and I find they're really comfortable. I just change them whenever I start to feel like they're not giving the support that I need. Because I'm heavy, I fucking wear these things out really quick. I get about 10, 11 months out of them, and then I just change them over. Nothing really wrong with the boot.
Do you have your own orthopedic?
I do have my own orthopedic things in, but you know what I did with the bad workwear ones? I slipped them into my joggers because I don't wear the joggers for that long. The bad workwear ones are fine for that. But
So you can imagine though, like say you've got this physical health problem. Which obviously you're able to cope with. You've got a pretty good attitude.
Yeah.
But if your business wasn't seeing some, I won't say success, but if you were going through some sort of hardship in your business, whether you created that situation or whether you didn't create that situation, it can definitely make you feel like, man, what is the point in all of this crap?
It would definitely compound, just put pressure on top of pressure. So I know from, for example, this morning, I wear orthopedic thongs because I love my thongs. It's fucking Queensland. Yeah, orthopedic thongs is so shit.
I'm only messing, eh?
Nah, but they look pretty sick, But, I wore those to work, and then before I jumped in my boots, I had to tape my feet. So I've been to a physio, and I've learned how to tape my feet properly. I just try to minimise, just get pain out of the way. If I have to, I take Voltaren. And that will sort of loosen the muscles up.
So can I talk about something which I don't know how popular this is really going to be, But we've talked about the fresh start before, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, you need a fresh start.
Yeah.
If you're feeling stale, if you're feeling beat down, and sometimes that fresh start can be, let's say, a new piece of equipment.
Oh my God, that works so well.
Yeah, and but we're realistic. You can't always afford to go out and buy a new piece of equipment. But I wanted to try and talk about some of the things that I've had to implement in my life, and some other things that have always come very natural to me. So one thing that has always been very natural to me is I'm very structured.
Yeah.
I don't function very well without routines and structure in place. Now, there is a lot of flaws that come with it. Now, I want to tell you about something that is so flawed that it's so stupid, right? But when I was, full-time mowing and everything like that, if I always woke up at 5:30 and always left home, around 6:15. I always sort of aimed to get to my first job, maybe 6:45.
Yep.
Whether it be, there was obviously exceptions on commercial sites, but before I had built that up, residential start time was around 7:00.
Yeah.
Now, I would be so fucked in the head that if I had experienced like some bad thing where, let's say, for example, I slept in till 7:30, that would actually wipe me out for the whole day.
Yeah.
And, I would actually sit there and be like, well, I've just lost a whole day. And you look at that and you think of how stupid is that? You fair enough, you'd be an hour or two behind.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wipe that out.
I feel you.
So there is a lot of flaws in this structure, routine mentality. But look, I've always felt that the more prepared and structured you are, the more time you're leaving for, if there's a breakdown, you've been structured, you've been, you're following a routine, and there could be time at the end of the day, to make up for that.
That's exactly
if you fuck a blade on your push mower, you still got time to get down to the mower store, grab some, or come home, whatever. Bung those new mower blades on, get moving again. Yeah. At the end of the day, you've probably only lost 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's part of the reason. So one of the solutions to my problems that I've been having lately is a massive time problem. So one of my solutions is either drop my clients or get staff. So I've got staff, and that will allow me to actually maintain everything to my standard. So there's always a solution to your problems. Whether you know it or not, there's always a solution. Like, you just have to reach out and get some help and help to find that.
If money and financial situations are a problem, there's still like we've talked, there is nothing better than being equipped, right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about being equipped. I'm not talking about being over equipped. I'm just talking about being equipped for the tasks that you carry out that make you money.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes, that, like, let's say it could be something as simple as, like, I know I've been here in parts, like I snapped a garden rake once, right? And then I didn't do anything about it. And we're talking about, like, what, a $15 rake?
Yeah.
Didn't do anything about it. Because I don't use a rake every day.
Yeah.
Get to a job and I'm like, motherfucker, where's my rake? And then, just kind of got by and, I think it took me like, maybe 2 weeks to just fucking finally go out and buy a rake. And it's just simple stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, I know, when you're going to the field when you're going to the servo to fuel up, just putting the 2-stroke additives in before you leave.
Yeah.
Doing all of these types of things.
Yeah.
And it's that structure that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That really helps the day flow very smoothly, and it also helps unclutter the mind.
Yeah, well, I know 100% what you're talking about. If I have to, if I haven't got as much work on, I'm like, I could have a sleep in. It might only be like a half an hour sleep in, 45 minutes. But when I get up, everyone's awake. That slows me down extra. Then, my wife's like, you want to have a coffee? I'm like, yeah, I do want to have a coffee. There's another half an hour, have a chin wag. Then on the way out, like, I just feel like then the traffic's worse. I just feel like if I don't get my opportunity, then the whole day's cooked. I still feel like that. It's the same with rain. If we've got like a mad forecast for rain and it's raining in the morning, I'll pull the pin on the whole day. I don't fuck around and go out for half a day. I'll just resent the whole day. Sometimes I don't have a choice, but that's where I get real like pissed off. I'm like, I'll be like, nah, kids are all going to school, and then we'll come out of the movies. I'll take my wife to the movies. Not a fucking cloud in the sky. Everything's dry. I'll be like, I feel guilty, but if I would have gone to work, I would have resented the whole day. So maybe it's better I didn't.
Look, there really is so many factors that can lead to an unfulfilled work life.
Yeah.
I think if you are truly enjoying and really love what you do, it's definitely, this burnout that we're talking about is, it's just further in the distance. You don't, but I think it is when you're failing and when you're seeing issues and when you don't feel, let's say you're just straight up, you can't pay your bills.
Yeah.
Or you just, fuel prices have gone up right now and you're like, how the fuck can I afford to, it's going to cost us
That's a huge factor.
It's going to cost us like $250 to mow the 40 acres this week.
Yeah.
All of those types of things, can just, once they all accumulate, they can really, really, really affect you. But like I said, I think being structured and having a routine is a really great way to, just properly plan out your day. And like, I know when I rush, things just don't get done properly. And when you're able to, when your prices allow you to not rush, that's when it should be a little bit easier to find some satisfaction in the job.
Yeah.
Now, job satisfaction is also a huge part of it, right? Like
huge.
And we've seen some of the mad stuff that you do. But like if you're just mowing jungles constantly, not having to catch on these huge jungles, or maybe you're always doing hedge reductions. Sometimes some of that satisfaction that you get is not always there.
Yeah.
Whereas you see these awesome things on social media and these guys are like trimming up fucking animals and, like doing all this mad stuff. I know, let's just use Clint from Camden.
Yeah.
For example. Now, his whole business might not be so glamorous. But like, you see some of his jobs and you're like, man, I want to mow there.
Yeah.
Like, I want to, like, some of his jobs, he's mowing in a field and he's looking out where he is and it just looks, so fucking glorious.
Carly Waugh, she's got some...
she must be rural or something.
Yeah, she's got... is it a winery that she does? Or she does somewhere where these hedges just go for miles.
Yeah. And
that's my thing. Like, I love to hedge. I like, just plug the tunes in and away I go. I love hedging. I love time to myself.
Yeah. But like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not sitting here telling the audience like, hey, click your fingers and go and get some better jobs.
No.
What? Because, we're not dipshits, right?
No.
And we're certainly not fucking psychologists.
No, this is just purely like...
But, like, these are some of the things, you can absorb some of this info and see if it applies to you.
Yeah.
So if you are one of these people and you think you're in a market where the prices won't allow you, then maybe it's time to recognize that and maybe look at some alternative suburbs close to you. or some additional services.
Yeah.
Something that makes you happy.
And one of the things with people that always seem to attract these jungles, these shithole fucking things that I just would not want to put my equipment on. Make that your niche. Do that job to like high standards and quote it well, and those jobs can make a fortune. Like hedge reductions, these jungle lawns. If you can find people that are willing to pay for that sort of service, that it could be a really good money maker, and that could add to your job satisfaction. Because I know I'm happy when I'm making money. I'm getting job satisfaction when I'm seeing the dollars tick over. I'm fucking loving life.
We're going to touch a little bit more on physical health, but before we get there, let's talk about some bad workwear.
Yeah, yo.
Now, quickly before we do that, can you pass me a fucking drink bottle? I left it over there.
Yeah.
All right, guys, time to talk about bad workwear. You know that me and BJ are rocking this stuff. Someone reached out, Mick Carroll, great friend of the group.
Yep.
He's rocking some stuff. I did tell him to post it on Facebook, and he said, I will when I'm out of Facebook jail.
Oh, mate.
But hey, tell these people how they can get this stuff.
Guys and girls, hit up badworkwear.com, punch in skull at the checkout, all in caps, and get yourself a sweet 10% off. A little smidge of that comes to us, and we can make improvements. It's slow going at the moment, but we're really loving all the feedback. It's so good. Winter's coming, so much stuff on there. Puffer jackets, puffer vests. They have what are they called? Keep dry hoodies.
Rain
Defender hoodies.
They got a resistant one, and I think they got a waterproof one.
Yeah, they have so much cool shit on there. They have bomber jackets that I've been eyeing off for a while. I just have to, justify it.
Now, what I want to know is, are you going to bust out the long pants this year? Because you're not typically a long pant dude. Maybe 20 or 30 days of the year? Maybe?
If that.
Yeah. I personally crank them from probably maybe late May, maybe till September.
Yeah. And don't forget, my offer still stands. If we get 30 orders in a month, I'm rocking a crop top and some shorty shorts. I might even wear a wig.
Last month, we didn't even make enough money to send out bank details. I'm a shocker for that.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't know. I think we just make more money pashing on OnlyFans or something.
No, don't say it. But no, and we've added some pieces to our Catch Pro website. The Legionnaires, the wide brim.
These are actually mine.
Safety glasses. We've actually sold a ton of this stuff, and people really like it. So
it's good. It's awesome.
Support the business that supports us. All right, now I want to talk, BJ. We spoke about your feet with physical health.
Yep.
I want to talk about some of my physical problems and some of the things that I've had to implement to just make this burnout thing stay at a distance for me. So one thing is that I drink a lot of coffee, and I'm obviously a smoker as well, which is never a good thing, right? No. That just all sorts of fatigue and fucked up health issues. But the coffee, what was happening is you work in the sun all day, right? So you're losing fluids.
Yep.
And then when you drink coffee, it's a diuretic, which means it makes you piss.
Yeah.
But you just constantly piss. So even if you compensate with water, you're losing a lot of your natural salts and sugars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, this would always lead to fatigue, potential migraines. It also affects a lot of muscles. When they become dehydrated and tense. Now, I've had to do all sorts of things. Obviously, I've minimized my coffee intake. But one thing, if anyone is ever really struggling from fatigue or, your body's just worn down. Now, I know exactly how this is going to sound, right? And I'm giggling because I'm thinking about Rusty, because he's always just like before I hurt my back, he's just like, do you want to do some stretches? And I'm just like, what? Fuck off, and I was that dude. But I tell you what, if you're going to trim a hedge and swing that pole hedge around and do all of these sorts of things, I definitely think taking 5-10 minutes before you leave the house to just give yourself a light stretch, and I'm not talking about a stretch before going a 100-meter sprint.
Yeah.
But the other day, now this is just now, right? The other day, I was punching catches together. All I did was lean over, and I full copped a stinger in my back that really made the next 3 days harsh for me. And it's because I got lazy on my stretches. One other thing that I do is I have a glass of magnesium every night. Now, what that was recommended for me to do, because of the amount that we're sweating, you are never going to get all of that stuff back naturally. And I've got don't mess around with the tablets. That's rubbish. Magnesium powder, if you have it at night, it works really well, and it really helps to restore your muscles. And just takes away those aches and pains. And it's been something, my whole family does it now. But look, there's some of the things that, you know, if you're dealing with any sort of physical issues, and we've seen it all over the page. People are like, oh, you know, I've got a bad back, I've got a bad neck, I've got a bad shoulder. Now,
my feet hurt.
Yeah, I mean, your body is more important than any tool.
Yeah, 100%.
So, you know, let's try and look after that first and foremost. Now, I'm, you know, don't live your life by me.
Nah.
In the sense that, you know, even just now we unloaded 100 catch pros, and you're like, don't lift that. And I'm like, no, I'm sweet, you know. And I do know my limits. But, you know, it is one of those things. If you're lifting a push mower out of the back of your rig,
you
know, get yourself a ramp. You've got to do...
a couple of pieces of wood, even. Whatever you need to.
Oh, but then you'll be called a cowboy.
Yeah, fuck. Who cares what you're called?
As
long as you're not snapping your back in the process. I stretch now. I stretch my calves because that makes my feet feel better.
That leads to everything.
100%.
So one of the biggest results of my bad back was my calves and everything. When all of that area is tight, it just pulls down on everything.
There's so many things like I wish I had time to do, which maybe with this new change up that I'm doing, I'm supposed to go and get massage like at least once a week. Not special massage, but just like
I'm too old book a Nerve to get one of them.
They'll be like, oh, no thanks.
Even when Rusty talks about it, I just need to go like be by myself for a bit.
You just get scared. I actually, down the road from me, one of them just got busted for prostitution. I'm like, I've been there. No one offered to touch my wee-wee. Nobody wants to, but that's fine. That's what I'm supposed to do. Like, I went to a physio and like acupuncture and things like just whatever you need to do to make yourself feel right to continue on your week. Just try and get it done. It's always a time issue. I'm sure like I'm not the only one out here that's busting his nuts trying to find a little bit of time to do a bit of self-care. But it's those little things that will add up in the end. Like looking after yourself is one of the most important things, because looking after yourself will help you look after your business and your family. So
yeah, look, it can be really hard, but like the more that I think about this episode and the topics that we're talking about, I feel my most accomplished when I've done all my work for the day, and then you know, I've done all of my paperwork. When I've had you know, look, there was a point in my life where I was dodging the tax office. My BAS wasn't up to date. My paperwork was getting out of control, and you know, it's something that even when I wasn't thinking about it directly, it was affecting me so much. It was always in the back of my mind. And I know that you know, when I had kids, things changed a little bit, but you know, I just had such a better sleep when I could go to work and obviously finish my work, and you come home, you know, and chill. Now, we can't always come home and chill.
No.
And you know, I typically don't need a ton of time, but I would the kids would play in the backyard and I'd just pretty much sit there smoking a fag or whatever, that was my thing of chilling. But then, when they went to sleep, I would only have to spend 20 or half an hour on paperwork.
Yeah.
And it would allow me to be able to go to sleep with a fresh mind thinking like, I have done everything today.
And sleep is another huge thing that will benefit your life. Like I don't get enough sleep. This is one of my worst habits. So we get our kids to bed. Obviously with Ella, we have a bit more of a longer bed routine. Like we have to change her and bathe her and things like that. So that takes up a lot of time. And my wife and I don't really get to hang out much until everyone's in bed. So that's when I feel like, I'm going to miss out.
I want to...
Not that kind of hanging out.
Is that too much to say?
Nah, it's all right. Yeah. But no, realistically, I want to hang out with my wife. She's my bestie. And I stay up way too late. And then I'm fucked the next day. It's hard to get up. It's hard to get motivated. There's not enough coffee in the world to make me feel like I do when I've had a nice big fat night's sleep.
And I'm assuming the way that your business model is, you don't really have time for friendship naps during the day?
No friendship naps.
Because there is, I'll admit, with Catch Pro, I get times, I work way too many hours. Yeah. But I've got say parts of the day which are huge demotivators for me.
Yeah.
And it's like guys that are working on a full-time site. You might work the hours from 7 till 3, but if you really wanted to, there's always something to do. Yeah. There is always something to touch at a village or whatever.
Yeah.
When you're on site full-time. Because I'm living where I work, if an order gets put in for a Catch Pro at 7 o'clock at night, I feel super compelled to either go and build that unit, or if I have one built, go and wrap that unit.
Yeah.
And people around me tell me all the time, hey, you have to learn to separate your life with Catch Pro.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in a great frame of mind because doing that makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I would be unhappy if I wasn't doing it. But for other people, they might not be wired the same.
Yeah.
So if you've got a client texting you at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and we've seen the crazy things that come through. People get a text at 8:50 at night.
Can you mow my lawn tomorrow?
Can you mow my lawn first thing tomorrow?
Yeah.
And maybe having if you do have a heavy social media business, maybe get one of those things where it's
automatic reply.
Yeah, g'day, fuck off. No, where it's just hey man, touch base tomorrow, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think when you know about all of that stuff, it's a lot easier to be able to say, okay, this is what's going to work for me.
Yeah.
And all of that social media stuff as well, that's another thing that can really play on people's minds. With assholes leaving bad reviews.
Yeah.
I think I was reading one the other day where this dude, I think he did a really good job, and it was just a bitch of a client.
Yeah.
Who, for some reason, didn't want to pay. And she's left a review on his page that he can't get rid of.
No, that's...
And he did an excellent job.
That's shit.
He showed screenshots of the conversations he was having. There was no motivation for this lady not paying him. And then she went and left him back.
I think it was a roommate.
Something like that,
wasn't paying. Yeah, it's shit house. There's always going to be, owning your own business isn't a walk in the park. There's always going to be shit that's going to pop up. But the worst stuff is the stuff that you haven't anticipated, like people not paying, like people refusing to pay, I should say.
I mean, what did I tell you the other day? I can't even remember if I said it on air yet, but I had some dude dissing me for a product that cost what he thought was too expensive.
Yeah.
And I think my bill for the year for sticky tape was $2,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking sticky tape.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's a lot of sticky tape.
Yeah, I mean, and then think about the reams of paper, and I shouldn't have said ream around you.
Yeah, no. Sticky tape, first thing I thought was BDSM.
So, look, there is just definitely... Now, one thing I want to say, I was speaking to Jack Hamilton, his friend of the show.
Yep.
And we were talking a little bit about burnout, and he'd smashed a window.
Yep.
At work. But one thing that he put in place, like say 7 or 8 months ago, is a contract agreement with every residential property that he works at, that he is not liable for any loose stone or debris.
Okay.
So, smashing a window is fucking devastating.
Ugh.
You pretty much work for free.
Yeah,
that day,
it can
right?
kill a day. Depending on the window, it can kill a whole day.
Depending on the window, if you do one like I did once, this special fucking black glass that you just can't get here,
Yeah.
That killed a whole week.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, and I really wanted to bring that up in this episode. Sure, like, he's got the worry about he smashed the window, but financially he's not liable.
No.
And if you were liable, and then you did it again that week, that can be terribly demotivating.
It's huge.
Whereas if you got something in place and the client is aware of it, you just keep on trucking, baby, to the next job.
Well, that was a big factor in my downfall back in the day. I had a $25 front yard. It was smaller than this room. And a girl had parked her brand new car across the road, and I did $1,300 worth of damage with a tiny little stone on a $25 lawn that I fucking bought in this cluster of customers when I first started. It was just ridiculous. Insurance paid for it. It still cost me $500, so I didn't even make half of that out of that lawn. As soon as that happened, I just ditched them straight away. I was like, catch up.
And we're always going to, as contractors, we're always going to experience these one-off things.
Yeah.
That do get you down to a certain point, and they're hiccups and they're spikes on the road. But I think the bigger issue is if these problems are happening all the time.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like if you pop your tyre tomorrow...
I'm gonna fucking finger myself in front of someone. I don't care.
And I mean, look, this is actually a really good example of like what are you putting in place to prevent this?
Fuck, I don't even know. I've pretty much,
because it seems like a G up to me. Like,
it's
I don't
ridiculous.
understand how someone could pop that many tires.
You
have popped as many tires as I've sold catch poses this year.
Yeah, it's pretty much, man. I think it's definitely over 10 now from the start of the year. So that's 3 months I've been so I'm not replacing every single tire. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can just puncture repair most of my tires. I have replaced 2, but it's...
You'd be getting fucking good at that.
Getting really good. I'm getting really good at fixing tires. I'll go down and get a job at bow repairs if this falls over. But no, I just... You know what I was talking about the other night with my wife after I posted the last pic? I was like, as fucked as this is, it's really good content because people just don't believe it until I throw up a photo. And like we got our new logo and stuff, and I spent all this time making this crazy like flames, like our logo jumps out of flames. I was like, fuck yeah, that looks good. Posted on our socials, got like 100 views. Posted a photo of my 10th pop tire. Fucking thing's got like 5,000 views and all this ridiculous shit. I'm like, oh well, look at the positives. And that's where a lot of like my attitude, I've always been one to look at positives out of negatives.
Yeah, so, you're a positive dude. Yeah.
So that's where I go. But it's a bit crazy.
Someone who is dealing with burnout is not necessarily a negative person.
No, of course not. No.
It's something that they're feeling as a result of, say, negative things that are happening around them. But look, to some extent, and like I said, I don't want to be picking on anyone. In some ways, we do create the situations that happen.
Yeah.
And, I think being structured is one of those things that can definitely prepare you for certain situations. Having the right equipment And furthermore, having some of those business structures in place, like some of these clauses. Now, I don't know how many people will accept them.
No.
But I still think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I do as well.
And I think the more and more people that do it, the more and more people will accept it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's just going to make the industry better for everyone in it.
Yeah.
You know, and there could be crazy things that, you know, like I know, you know, people used to ask us to like hose out our mowers because of like, say, weed transportation.
I've had that.
And, you know, like we wouldn't even give that a second thought. We would just be like, nah, we are not coming here. Because I would know that if I had to hose out my mower before going there every time, I just know, even if I was being compensated financially for it, I would just know that would be something that would fucking piss me off.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, I'm not even going there. So I do think sometimes we create the situations that we live in. And, you know, I don't think that's healthy in any ways. Now, you and me, we're huge on you got to do what you got to do to get through.
Yes.
But if it's negatively impacting you to the point where you know you just cannot be fucked getting up for work that day, or you cannot stand that particular client, I think you have to be able to rid yourself of that.
That's where I got down as well. I was doing what I had to do to get through, and it was fucking shit. I hated doing. I had some great customers, and until recently, I still had the great ones, but I had some fucking awful customers. Like just awful customers that had no respect for me all my time. So that was something that I had to do, because if I didn't have those shitty customers, they still paid, but they were just not great to deal with. So
yeah, and saying no is like a huge part of being comfortable with who you are. Now, I'm horrible at saying no.
Yeah.
Let's take a real life example of me right now. We're an online business and we have dealerships, right?
Yeah.
But lots and lots of people still want to come here to buy products, but we're not set up for that.
Yeah.
We've got dogs that run in front of cars and, you know, jumping and biting people, and we have no payment facilities.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes depending on what time of the day it is, we've got kids running around. We've got, you know, we're not set up for that. And it's very difficult to say no when someone might live, say, 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And it's always something that stresses me out, because you agree to meet someone and, you know, I've got to go put a shirt on, or I've got to, you know, do things that are not, you know, making me comfortable for whatever time that is. And exactly the same in a contractor's environment.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to drive 30 minutes away to go to that client, or maybe you don't want to reverse park down that driveway. Yeah. Really, you got to try and make some of these decisions that they're not financial decisions.
No.
They're mental decisions that are going to, either positively or negatively impact the way that you're feeling throughout your day.
Yeah. They're all really important things. There's so much variation in this subject. Like, we could talk for hours and hours about different things, and we'd never touch on all of them. Like, you know, there's so many different people and different, you know, job types out there. I know in my old job, I felt burnt out. That was a lot to do with sleep. I would do 24 hours easy. Just the sleep thing was a huge downfall for that job. But
so can I just quickly ask, this is a sidebar.
Yeah.
So you were obviously feeling burnt out in that job, and you made the decision to get out of that industry and leave that job.
Yeah.
Now, it's sad for me to think that we have people in our industry where we would be recommending for them to leave.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's just face the facts. This industry is not for everyone, right?
100%.
And sometimes, as sad as it seems, even for people that we know in the community. No, when I'm talking community, I'm talking about social media communities. Let's take Brendo, for example. Brendo, he formed LMCA with Anthony Moore. And he made the decision eventually, even though he formed this great community, that he wasn't happy doing this.
No.
And there were better opportunities somewhere else.
Exactly.
And we don't know how he's doing now, but he made that decision. He's like, look, I'm not happy doing this. I'd be happy elsewhere. Do you think that is still good advice?
Yeah, I really do. At my old job, everybody always used to tell me, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I can 100% say that that's like true, because the grass isn't always greener on the other side. In my case, it was fucking green. So I'm really happy that I made the change. But I have had friends that used to work at that job that would leave and they would come back 2 months later because they found that, this was the best of a bad bunch. And it really sucks because that industry, so it was like a transport, logistics, cold storage, processing sort of industry. There are so many good workers in that industry that, I would love to go and poach a lot of people from that industry, but they just feel so secure. I think that was the main reason I stayed for so long, was the security.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a good push after the car accident and the demotivate, like the demotions and shit. That was a perfect push, and yeah, couldn't be fucking happier.
So with some of the, we talked about before about like a fresh start, maybe it doesn't always have to be as extreme as getting out of the industry, but maybe trying to focus on something that makes you more happy.
Yeah.
I know when I've dealt with burnout, a really typical example was when I was trying to form Catch Pro. I had to continue running Greenscape Solutions and I had to work in it all day.
Yeah.
At the same time, I got this new exciting venture, but I'm pouring my own money into it and nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And when I mean nobody gives, what that meant was like I could barely give a Catch Pro away.
Yeah.
Let alone selling one for $1,000. And it was one of those things where I actually tried to give it up and just forget about it. But we saw tiny little bits of success here and there. But I would go to bed every night thinking like why?
Yeah.
I used to make, and not that I was ever a rich person, but we were doing just fine with Greenscape Solutions.
Yeah.
And what changed for me was I was just being persistent. It's different when you're working with your hands.
Yeah.
Whereas I had a product and I could be like, oh, okay, I've tried selling it on Gumtree. I've tried selling it on eBay. I need to take the next step.
You kind of found your niche in the market. Like, you're still in the industry. Like, you found a different niche, a completely different niche market.
Yeah, it was more about being persistent and standing by your product, those types of things. When I think we're talking about burnout in this game, one of your key things was being motivated.
Yeah.
And I think you need to be motivated to get up at a certain time every day. Maybe like you said, you can have your moments of glory where it's like, what, I'm full thrashed, I'm going to sleep in. But if you're in the residential game and you're being beat down by these jobs that you're doing, and you might be actively looking for other business and still not succeed. That can be one thing that really beats you down. Now, what I have always said is I like to set a main goal. So let's say when I was trying to get my first retirement village, the main goal was to get a retirement village, right?
Yeah.
But I also think setting smaller, achievable goals along the way really helps you, because if you set that huge goal at the end and you don't get there for a year or two, you will give up.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight for a year.
Yeah, but if you set smaller, achievable goals along the way, so it might be like, it's April. By September, I want to at least try and quote or get a call back.
Yeah.
To one village.
Yeah.
And your ultimate goal is to land a village, but by September you want to at least get your foot in the door, make contact in some way. Once you've achieved that, you go through that process. Maybe it doesn't work out. At least you achieved something along the way that gives you motivation to be able to do that again, because you've done that. You can do that again.
Yeah.
And like you said, BJ, we can really go. I don't know if we've really covered everything.
No.
There's a lot of meat on the bone here, but I do think, some of the things that we've talked about will shed some light.
Yeah.
On emotional, physical, and mental health.
Yeah, I think out of everything, I think one of the most important things to do if you find yourself in a situation and you can't get yourself out of it is seek support. Like I said at the start, there is multiple avenues. There's friends, there's family, there's the network that you've got. Like if you're on LMCA, there's if you reach out on there, I'm sure there's plenty of people that have got great ideas to help you out. You can reach out to people personally. There's so many avenues. I was really lucky when I was in my slump. My wife was really good. I could reach out to Ben and Shori and people like that, key figures in the industry that were in my area. And it really helped. Like there's nothing better than seeing your business successful. But having the right mindset is a huge key to that.
Now, what I would probably like to hear, if anyone has any feedback about this episode, we talked a lot about burnout with maybe failing businesses.
Yeah.
And we don't mean to, if you're suffering from burnout, we don't want to sit here and call you a failure.
No.
That's not what it is. But I do want to hear, I'd love to hear some feedback on some businesses that are super successful.
Yeah.
Whether that be, and success is defined by so many different ways. So some people would define success as, I make $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
Some people define success as my children are fed every night. We have electricity at the home. We have a reasonable car to drive.
Yeah.
And so everyone gauges success a little bit differently. And I think a lot of the times, as well with social media, sometimes, we see businesses and they'll be like, I know when we picked up the 40 acres and we posted something up, there was so many people who were like, oh man, I wish I could get a place like that. Or, and it can be very demotivating if it's something that, you would love to have and you see all of these other people around you getting it. But I think the point there is that, especially in my case, that's 20 years of contacts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's 20 years of reputation and contacts.
Did this episode just come back to networking?
Yeah, I mean, it always does.
It always does.
You don't need to work in the industry for 2 decades to create awesome opportunities. No, but
especially not now. Like that LMCA page and Aussie Contractors page, all the social media platforms have just opened the world up for contractors to network with whoever they want.
And even platforms like Aussie Lawn Stars and the Skull Sessions have given people, we hear, people reach out to us all the time and they're like, we fucking love going to work on a Monday because we can listen to Aussie Lawn Stars and then Skull Sessions straight after.
That's one of the coolest things is that people are actually enjoying our content. It's just experiences that we've had really that we just throw together and hopefully they help. But
there are some people that don't appreciate it.
There's some people that don't, but whatever.
All right, BJ. So I think we might wrap this up because we seem to be touching on a lot of the same topics.
That's it.
Look, definitely give us some feedback. post up your own, hardships or any of the things that you guys are feeling.
Yeah.
And like I said, the guys over at LMCA, Anthony Moore and Jaraday, along with the guys over at Aussie Contractors, Greg Anderson, they're all support groups where, sometimes you write stuff and dumb people comment and you can get you down a lot worse. You can always reach out privately. There's certain people amongst the groups that see things different ways than others.
That's exactly right.
And man, it's great to vent.
Yeah. Oh man, how good is it? Like, you've vented to me a few times. I've vented to you a few times.
We vent to each other every day.
All the time.
I remember. I know we're supposed to be fucking wrapping this up, but I remember there was a time in my life when I did a lot of residential lawns, and for whatever the reason, it must have been all working people.
Yeah.
And I worked solo at the time, and I remember I used to brush my teeth and I used to go out, and I remember saying to myself or thinking to myself, if I don't go to a shop and buy some food today, I may not use my voice. Because back then you weren't just on your mobile phone all day.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't in the game. I wasn't calling you.
And if you weren't, seeing people at the jobs, you weren't talking to anyone.
That's it.
And that I always remembered that being one of those things where it's like, and it was a very demotivating thing. Now, something that on the complete flip side is when you got one of those fucking clients who won't let you leave the house, and you just got to be like right in the middle of their talk and be like, wait, fuck off and catch you later. But, one extreme to the other. So, talk about it. And I know that helps.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things, is talking about things that are going on. And that ad, like, it's not weak to speak. Like, you should never feel bad about your feelings. Like, if you feel like you need to get them out, fucking get them out. It's fucking all on you, realistically. When it comes down to it, it's all on you to get those feelings out and, seek the help that you need.
Quick recap. Set those goals, set achievable goals, put some structures in place. Definitely look after yourself physically, get a good night's sleep, drink tons of water, have a nice meal, have some brekkie. Those things will definitely help. Also, a positive mind.
Yeah.
I'm not super spiritual. We know Shorey. You talk to him for a little bit and you're like, whoa.
Oh, but it works for him. I love talking to Shorey.
But it's great having a positive attitude. And I do believe to some extent that, when you put something out there to the universe and you're very positive, that it does create good vibes.
Yeah.
So, we'll sign out now, but please take all of that stuff into consideration and reach out.
I owe something to these people.
Soz.
I bought a truck.
This is the fucking worst time in the world to announce this shit.
Sorry. I bought a truck. And it made me feel good. So, I didn't really. It's on finance, so.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I bought a truck.
I put an offer on a house that got declined.
Oh. Yeah.
So that was a bit of a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
No, look forward to seeing your truck, man. When are you getting it?
April.
My birthday's in April.
Oh my god. Maybe it'll come on your birthday. I know you
Maybe
will.
I'll come on my birthday.
Oh, I beat you to it.
I thought we weren't allowed to use the C word here.
Yeah, well, that was your ball,
Maybe
not
you
mine.
can edit that shit out.
No way.
Alright, cool. We signing out, brother?
We are. Let's put a bow on it. Drink up, boys and girls.
See you later, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Relax and take notes while I take totes of the marijuana smoke. Throw you in the choke, gun smoke, gun smoke.